Hey guys, welcome back to Harrison Hacks. Just an update on my cheap AliExpress USB controllers. So I'll start with the Nes controller. Now these are all Data Frog. If that means anything on the AliExpress website, I don't know. It's just a cheap unknown name. But I'll get into my review. So this one here actually worked better than my other USB NES controller that I showed in a previous video. The D-pad's excellent, and what I like to do is test these controllers on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out as well as Contra, because with Contra, when you're shooting and aiming and jumping, I mean, there's a lot going on with the D-pad in Contra, you know, and you don't have to force these buttons, which I really like. It's not too touchy, but it's not unresponsive. Very responsive, very great controller for, I don't even know, like $4, let's say, not even, in and around there anyways. But definitely this is a good controller. This one here, it's unbranded, but I did order like a 3-pack, and the Super Nintendo one is the only one that shows Data Frog on it. But this is definitely a good controller, and I like the look of it, the all black, you know. It's pretty nice. So I'll just set that one off to the side here, and we'll move on to the Super Nintendo Data Frog controller. Now I must say, all these have decent cables as well. They're not cheap. They're pretty good. So this one here, the buttons feel pretty good. Can't complain. Everything feels pretty nice, and it's actually pretty heavy for an AliExpress cheap controller. One thing I had issues with, and I still do, is a sticky select button. I haven't opened it up to fix it. I'm sure it's something small, but select does work on the games, and it doesn't press it more than once. It just takes a while to come back up. Start and everything works great. The D-pad. Initially, I was pretty frustrated with the D-pad. It just, you know, I'm playing Street Fighter, and it's not doing what I'm inputting. However, over time, I put into this, and I maybe, after the first, I want to say 15-20 minutes of use, it seemed like the D-pad started to work better and better. And I've noticed this with these cheap controllers. A lot of people say they break easily. I haven't had that issue yet. Now, I'm not a heavy gamer. I probably play, you know, an hour at a time. A few days a week, if that. But I do like to mostly just test them all out and make sure that when I do a review that I've actually used the product. I'm not just going, oh, these feel great, you know, thanks guys. I actually want to try it out, and then I want to do these update videos. You know, I did the unboxing in previous video and whatnot, and now I want to tell you exactly what I feel about these controllers. And I would say that this is worth it. This really is worth it. Now, the 8-bit dough was straight away, didn't have to be worked in. Now the 8-bit dough, I believe Canadian is like $35-40. Now I got a lucky deal on the AliExpress 7-year anniversary blah blahs, and I got it for like 20 or 24, something like that. Anyways, this here, again, it's like $4. So this here, the more you use it, the better it works. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Especially the D-pad. The buttons are great right off the hop. Yeah, I got a sticky select button, but at least, you know, everything works and functions properly. And the cord lengths aren't that bad. They're probably about 3.5 feet, roughly, maybe 4 feet. So, you know, for $4, you know, get a couple of these, you're laughing, you know. So, again, work it in, works good. Now, I will save this one for last. And this is the Sega Saturn controller. And to me, when I first look at it, it looks cheaply made. It, you know, the buttons jiggle inside and whatnot. Okay, so here is my review on this, because I've been waiting so long for this one. Now I play Genesis emulators with a Genesis controller. And I gotta say that First thing I did was Super Street Fighter 2 on the Genesis. This D-pad is phenomenal. I mean, everything that I input, this thing grabs, and it just moves so nicely. I can't say enough about it. Amazing D-pad. And I've always liked Sega's D-pads, even back to the Master System. Master System is one of my favorite controllers. I would love to have a USB Master System controller. It's so similar to this, yet the D-pad is more like this. It's just square. Okay. But anyways, this controller here, yeah, it looks cheaply made, and it felt cheaply made. Now the L and R buttons are just a little clicky, but I've been using Genesis, not Saturn, and these are great. They're very responsive. Everything functions perfectly. This is the one that I thought for sure was going to be a big letdown for me. And now that I've used it, and I'm starting to play Kid Chameleon, and I'm getting into obviously Super Street Fighter, Mutant League Hockey, and just a whole bunch. Obviously the Sonic games, which I don't play too much of, but Super Street Fighter is my go-to test for these types of controllers. And I will say that this one here, it's not the heaviest, okay, but it's not going to break on you, and it's got a nice grip. It feels good, and the buttons feel good, and this D-pad is absolutely incredible. It's very, very responsive. You know, I'm doing fireballs and uppercuts and everything like that, you know. Just, I can't say enough good about this one. I gotta say that this is great. So, like I said, these are all made by Datafrog, and I believe they still sell them in the 3-pack on AliExpress. And if they do, if it's under 20 bucks, or even if it is 20 bucks, I would recommend this 3-pack right here. That's how I ordered it, was a 3-pack. I didn't get these for the 7-year anniversary, so I believe it was 15 bucks I paid. Was a certain sale at a time, but it wasn't a huge amount off. So these should be under 20. And I mean, this could get your emulation setup rocking. This is phenomenal. I mean, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. You know, get yourself the $20 the RetroLink N64 USB controller, and you're laughing. I mean, if you've got a system that can emulate Saturn, there you go, right? I mean, you're doing really, really well there. So I would say if you were to get these for 20 and the RetroLink N64 for 20, and you've got an emulator set up on your computer for 40 bucks, well, let's say with tax, you don't pay tax on these, but the tax with the RetroLink at your microplay, let's say for 45 bucks, you can play 4 different systems on 4 different controllers, 5 systems if you have a Saturn emulator, and plus you could do arcade games with these. I mean, I plan to get an arcade stick myself. I want to actually make one, but I'm waiting for my Raspberry Pi setups and stuff like that. But to get you started for your console systems, definitely get yourselves this bundle. I would recommend it. And like I said, this one straight out the gate, not an issue. This one here, work in the D-pad a little bit, which is nice. And once you do, worked great for me. Can't complain. This guy here, yeah, he's plain Jane, and he, you know, but I tell you, it's actually more solid than it seems. The buttons rattle, but it's not like inners are rattling. It's just the buttons moving around. They're free, right? So they move freely. And the D-pad is phenomenal. So again, guys, that's my review on these AliExpress controllers. Here's your NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn. So please like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching, and have a good day.